transformation and definition of the Laplace transformation. Then we'll see how to find out the Laplace transformation of some certain standard functions, and then finally we'll see how to apply this Laplace transformation knowledge on electronic means the circuit analysis. Okay. So before getting into the Laplace transformation, we normally look into the mathematical concepts which is very popular in applying those concepts into the circuit analysis or any the signal analysis or anything like wherever the communication related work or the telecommunication background when we look into, there are many concepts which we learn where mathematics is very important to be applied, and finding out the mathematical model for any communication device or anything, it makes simple in analyzing the components. So similarly here, if I have an AC network in time domain, normally we try to write integral differential equation when we have a capacitor and inductor and resistor connected in series. So if such equations to be solved, solving in time domain becomes very difficult. So in order to overcome those problem, what we do is we convert time domain to frequency domain. So conversion of time to frequency domain is what Laplace transformation will do, and conversion of time to frequency, when frequency domain comes into picture, then it becomes very easy for us to solve those equations. Then at the final stage, what we do is for this finally obtained Laplace transformed solution, we apply inverse Laplace transform to get back the solution in time domain. Okay, so Laplace transformation method has become very popular, which makes the integral differential equation to be solved in much easier manner, and then applying inverse Laplace transform will make us to get the time domain equation back for analyzing the system. Okay, so if we see, consider for example, if there are two variables which are getting multiplied and we are equating that to C. Okay, so C is the product of A into B, right? So now logarithmic function has become very popular because the logarithmic function converts any multiplication into addition. That is the reason logarithmic became very popular, right? So when I say log of C here, then that becomes log of A into B, where that would be equal to log of A plus log of B. Okay, so taking inverse logarithmic is something related to anti-log. So if I take anti-log of log C, then I will get back C. So the product, so what is the advantage of using logarithmic method here is the product gets converted into a sum. Okay, so the product converts gets converted to a sum. Now this is where the philosophy of the transform method that came into picture. So the analogy between transform method and the use of logarithmic for arithmetic operations is what we need to keep our head into while defining the Laplace transform. So later, so I hope you got it. So what is the advantage of logarithmic is converting a product into a sum. So if the numbers A and B are too big, like 6 digits or more, the logarithmic method makes it easy to add the logarithmics of A and B rather than multiplying them directly, right? 2 into 3 is just 1 digit number, so it's very simple to multiply. If I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 multiplied by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now if you have 6 digit multiplication, in such cases it is very easy if you apply logarithmic method and then find out the addition of that two and use anti-log to find out the final result. Okay, so that is what the logarithmic method is all about. Now in the same way, the same philosophy is also applied for Laplace transform method. For example, if you consider y of t, which is the differentiation of the signal x of t. Now think x of t is varying in terms of time. That is what differentiation is all about. So such time varying signals can be the Laplace transform for such time varying signals can be applied to obtain the time varying to frequency varying, means frequency domain, where mathematical solution finding out for frequency domain is much easier than finding out for the time domain. Okay, so here where f of t is the input forcing function, x of t is unknown, say current or voltage in terms of network analysis, while y of x of t represents a differential equation. Now taking Laplace transform of both sides, this differential equation gets converted into an algebraic equation in terms of frequency variable denoted as S. So this S denotes the frequency variable. So here x of s is the transform of x of t, f of s is the transform of f of t, and y of x of s comma x of s, this is what y of s comma x of s is the algebraic equation in S. Okay, so that is x of s into s is the algebraic sum equation of equation in S. So what happens here is, when you saw this time domain and frequency domain after applying Laplace transform, the Laplace transform converts integral differential time domain equations into a simple algebraic frequency domain equation in terms of variable S. Now it becomes very easy to perform algebraic operations to obtain the expression for x of s. Okay, so that becomes very simple. If I apply Laplace transform and then convert this into an algebraic equation in terms of S, you will find out that this S equation in terms of S becomes very simple to solve. I hope later stage when we solve some problems, you will realize what is that I am saying in this particular time. So now after getting an expression in terms of S and x of s and whatever we have done here, finally we take the inverse Laplace transform of that x of s to find out x of t back in time domain. Okay, so we can't keep the equation in frequency domain itself. Okay, we need equation back in time domain only to analyze any system. Okay, so you can't keep equation in Laplace transformed solution. You need to convert that into time domain back, so that using those equations you can analyze the system. Therefore we have inverse Laplace transform which does that, do that job. Okay, where it converts x of s to x of t back to time domain. Okay, so therefore the Laplace transform method provides very simple way of solving the complicated integral differential time domain equations by converting them into simple algebraic equations in the frequency domain. Okay, so this would be the essence of Laplace transformation method. So we do have a figure in textbook, you can look into that anyway, which says what is exactly the Laplace transform is all about. Anyway, I will show you that figure once again. So this is the figure. What you can see here is, you are going to give an input as integral differential equation, then the Laplace transform will be applied to convert that equation into algebraic equation, and then after the algebraic equations and operations are been performed and finally you have got an equation in terms of S, then you are going to apply inverse Laplace transform to get back the solution in time domain. So when you have an integral differential equation, if you use classical method involving calculation of complementary function and particular solutions, that becomes very complex and time consuming method. So therefore this Laplace transformation what we have to find out the final solution has become a very simple method to solve any time domain integral differential equation. So this is the figure which you can see here. So anyway, let us define the Laplace transform now. How to obtain Laplace transform of any function given. Okay, so we came to know what is the benefit of getting the Laplace transformed equation, but we should know the definition and see how Laplace transformed domain is been obtained in with what equation is applied, so that we can get the Laplace transform of any given function. So Laplace transform of any function f of t would be equal to, denoted by f of s, which is equal to integration of 0 minus to infinity f of t e power minus st dt. So this 0 minus says the initial condition also. Okay, 0 minus will give you the initial condition of those variables also. That is what. So when you find out the Laplace transform of any function, we are also worried about the initial condition of that particular parameter. So you take f of t and apply that to an integral multiplied by e power minus st dt, and this is the definition, means this is how we find out the Laplace transform of any given function. Okay, now what is that s that we have here? S is a complex frequency variable and it is given by rho plus j omega, where the real part rho, this is the real part and this is the imaginary part omega. where the real part rho is called the attenuation constant, and it is also called as damping factor, while omega is the imaginary part of S, which is an angular frequency. Okay, so we do have damping factor and also imaginary angular frequency. Now, what is this damping factor? Means the system will normally be under damped or over damped or critically damped and undamped. Okay, so certain damping conditions will be there. Now, damping conditions means how the system response will be given, how the system behaves in terms of time. Okay, now for example, if you have a pendulum with you and if you try to pull out the pendulum needle and leave it out, it gives a constant to and fro motion without stopping. Okay, so that to and fro motion, which is constant to and fro motion which is given, will normally be somewhere around zeta equals 0. Okay, means there is no damped condition there, undamped variation what you see there. Now, if you try to pull out the needle and it gives to and fro motion for certain time and it comes to the to the rest position, then we say it is under damped. Okay, so now if you pull out the needle and if you leave and if it is giving fast to and fro motion, then we can say it is critically damped or over damped and so on. So we have certain damping conditions. I hope this damping ratio or damping conditions and all you people learn in detail in control system subject. So let us not go with that now, as this is network theory where we need only Laplace transform application. So let us not go in detail about that. Anyway, damping factor is something related to that. So the definition of inverse Laplace transform includes the complex integration. The calculation using complex integration is much more complex. Hence, the method of partial fraction expansion is. So we will see what is partial fraction while solving some standard functions, while solving the Laplace transform of some standard functions when we do it. Okay, fine. Let us get into the problems now. We have seen the definition of Laplace transform. Okay. Now let us learn the Laplace transform of certain standard functions. So the first main signal standard function is unit step function or unit step input. Okay, so what is basically unit step function? You will have a constant output 1 for in terms of time variation. Okay, so u of t will be equal to 1 for any time greater than or equal to 0, where u of t will be equal to 0 for anything t less than 0. Okay, so for greater than or equal to 0, for 0 it is 1, for 1 it is 1, for 2 it is 1, and so on. As time increases, the function u of t will remain constant 1. So that is unit step function. Now if I take the Laplace transform of that unit function u of t, we know that it is equal to integration of 0 to infinity u of t e power minus st dt. So integration of 0 to infinity 1 into e power minus st dt. So integration of e power minus at, we know that it is equal to e power minus at by minus a. So therefore here instead of a we have s, therefore e power minus st by minus s, 0 to infinity. Now substitute t equals infinity. So e power minus st, e power minus infinity by minus s, minus of this limitation, e power 0 by minus s. We know that e power minus infinity equals 1 over e power infinity, which is 1 over infinity, which is equal to 0. Minus of e power 0, e power 0 is always equal to 1. Okay, so therefore minus of 1 by minus s, which is 1 by s, what we get. So this is the Laplace transform of the unit step function when the amplitude equals 1, which is equal to 1 by s. Now think if there is a step of amplitude a, okay, think there is a step of amplitude a where f of t would be equal to a into u of t. Here it is 1 into u of t, now it is a into u of t. Then the Laplace transform is given by a by s. What is that? How to get a by s? It is very simple. Laplace transform of u of t equals 1 over s. When there is an amplitude equals a, 1 will be replaced by a. That's it. So Laplace transform of a into u of t would be equal to a by s, where a is amplitude, which is normally a constant value because it remains to be a for any value of time. Therefore, a remains to be constant. Okay. Now think if the unit step is delayed by t. Think the the unit step input is delayed by t. Now for example, that would be the diagram would be written in this way. Delayed by t means you have t, time t here. This is time t. This is f of t. Then you will be getting an unit step input is like this. So this is 0. So this is an amplitude 1, or you can also say it is a. Okay, so let us assume it is unit step input function with a delayed by t. Then we'll write f of t would be equal to u of t minus t. Okay, we write f of t to be equal to u of t minus t. So from the shifting theorem of Laplace transform, what we do is Laplace transform of f of t minus t would be equal to e power minus ts f of s. Okay, so e power minus ts, t is this time delay t. Okay, e power minus ts multiplied by the Laplace transform of f of t, f of s. So we know that the Laplace transform of the unit step function is 1 over s. Therefore Laplace transform of u of t minus t would be equal to e power minus ts into 1 over s. Therefore you get e power minus ts by s is what? Laplace transform of u of t minus t would be equal to e power minus ts by s. So this is the derivation for the Laplace transform of the unit step function when it is delayed by the time t. Okay, when you have an amplitude of a, this would be the Laplace transform that we normally get. Okay, now this is all about unit step function. Now let us go with the ramp function. So ramp function normally looks like this, where it exponentially increases in terms of time. Okay, so therefore r of t would be equal to sorry, not exponentially, like you get equal to time, okay. So parabolic, hyperbolic and all, if we go, we'll see some sort of exponential increment, whereas here the ramp function gives you the output where the output would be equal to which will be increasing in terms of time. Okay, so r of t would be equal to t for t greater than or equal to 0, and r of t would be equal to 0 for t less than 0. Okay, so that is what r of t for less than 0 or equal to 0, it is normally 0 for less than 0, whereas for equal to 0 and greater than 0, you see it will be equal to t. When t is 0, r of t is 0. When t is 1, r of t 1. When t is 2, r of t is 2. 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, and so on. It increases in terms of time. So if I take the Laplace transform of r of t, you get integration of 0 to infinity r of t e power minus st dt, which is equal to integration of 0 to infinity t into e power minus st dt. So if I have in terms of t into e power minus st, we normally go with integration by parts. Integration by parts. So how do you integration by parts? Integration of u into v dt will be equal to u into integration of v dt minus integration of what do you say, v dt into d by dt of u is what we normally go with. Okay, so this is the integration by parts formula what we use to find out what would be the solution. Now you are see u is actually t. Now in the place of u you have t, in the place of v you have e power minus st. Therefore u into integration of v, integration of e power minus st is e power minus st by minus s. So t into e power minus st by minus s with the limit 0 to infinity minus integration of 0 to infinity integration of v, which is e power minus st by minus s, differentiation of u, which is equal to, so d by dt of t equals 1. Okay, so therefore into 1 dt. Now if you apply infinity for t, you get 0 minus 0 minus of minus plus s. Okay, so plus s, see this is normally infinity to e power minus infinity to divided by minus s minus 0 into anything is 0. Now e power minus infinity is 0. 0 into infinity is 0. 0 divided by anything is 0. Therefore 0 minus 0. So 0 minus 0, minus of minus is plus, 1 over s you take it out because you are differentiating, integrating in terms of time. 0 to infinity e power minus st dt. Now we know e power minus st is again e power minus st by minus s. you substitute that and then again take the limits, you will end up in getting L of R of t equals 1 over s square. So therefore this is what we get. Laplace transform of t into u of t is what? R of t. Okay, keep this in mind. T into the unit step function is what? R of t, ramp function. So L of t into u of t or L of R of t would be equal to 1 over s square, provided the ramp having slope equals 1. Here slope a equals 1. Okay, ramp normally we take slope like this, horizontal and vertical, and we try to take slope of the particular ramp wave. So now think if there is a slope of a, think a ramp having a slope a, then f of t would be equal to a into t. So Laplace transform of a into t would be equal to Laplace transform of a into t u of t. As a is constant, you are just multiplying a with this 1 over s square. So that is what, when you have a slope of a, this would be the Laplace transform that you get. Then if the unit ramp is shifted by t instants, okay, if the unit step ramp is shifted by t instant, then f of t would be equal to r of t minus t. Now if you take the Laplace transform of that, we all know that by shifting theorem, Laplace transform of any function in terms of time delay t would be equal to e power minus ts into f of s. Therefore Laplace transform of r of t minus t would be e power minus ts into the Laplace transform of the ramp function, which is 1 over s square, and that gives you e power minus ts by s square. Okay, the third main standard function is impulse function. Okay, so impulse function normally will be denoted by delta of t, where delta of t is equal to 1 for t equals 0. Only at t equals 0 the delta of t will be equal to 1. For any value other than t equals 0, the delta function, impulse function, will be equal to 0. For any value of t other than 0, the delta function or the impulse function will be equal to 0. Only at t equals 0, you see the impulse function will be equal to 1. Normally delta of t is nothing but the differentiation of the unit function, unit step function. Okay, so delta of t would be equal to the time variation of the unit step function u of t. So that is what differentiation of u of t. Now if I take the Laplace transform of delta of t, I will get Laplace transform of du of t by dt. So we all know the Laplace transform of differentiation. Okay, dt du by dt will be equal to s into u of s, whatever we get. Okay, you multiply s and that multiplied by the Laplace transform of u, which is u of s. So Laplace transform of df of t by dt would be equal to s into f of s minus initial condition. This is the initial condition, f of 0 minus. Okay, initial condition. So Laplace transform of this delta of t would be equal to s into Laplace transform of u of t minus u of t equals 0. Now let us consider initial value of u of t equals 0. Initial value of u of t equals 0. That is what, u of t equals 0 at t minus t equals 0 minus equals 0. Then Laplace transform of u of t would be equal to s into Laplace transform of u of t, which is equal to 1 by s. Okay, so therefore Laplace transform of u of t equals 1 by s. Therefore Laplace transform of delta of t would be equal to 1 by s into s. So ss gets cancelled. So therefore you are left out with only 1. Okay. So similarly, if you have impulse function in terms of time delay of delta of t minus t, now you know that by time shifting theorem, Laplace transform of any function in terms of time delay t would be equal to e power minus ts into Laplace transform of that particular function. So here Laplace transform of delta of t equals 1. Therefore Laplace transform of the impulse function with the time delay t would be equal to e power minus ts. So these are the three main standard functions that we normally see in signal analysis also, because you can have an impulse function, you can have ramp function, you can have step function. Okay, so then in the further we'll see the Laplace transform of certain trigonometric functions. Okay, students, let us now learn some of the popular properties that we come across in Laplace transform. So the first property is the linearity. Okay, so what is the linearity property in Laplace transform? The transform of a finite sum of time functions is the sum of Laplace transform of the individual functions. So that is the definition for linearity property in transform Laplace transforms. So if you take the transform of finite sum of time functions, it would be the sum of the Laplace transform of these individual functions. Now for example, f1 of t, f2 of t, and so on plus fn of t are all the sum of the finite sum of the time functions. Then the Laplace transform would be equal to the sum of the individual function Laplace transform. So the Laplace transform of f1 of t is f1 of s, Laplace transform of f2 of t is f2 of s, so on fn of s. So this is the property that we come across with the linearity property of Laplace transformation. Now if we see the further explanation on this, so Laplace transform of f1 of t plus f2 of t plus so on plus fn of t would be equal to integration of 0 to infinity with this function f1 of t plus f2 of t plus so on plus fn of t e power minus st dt, because we know that the Laplace transform of any function is given by e integration of 0 to infinity f of t e power minus st dt. So this is the definition of any Laplace transform for any function that we find out. So therefore in the place of f of t we do have this linearity, means the sum of different Laplace time functions. So if you find out the integration of 0 to infinity in f1 of t plus f2 of t so on plus fn of t power minus st dt, I can divide this each sum whatever we have into separate functions like 0 to infinity f1 of t power minus st dt plus integration of 0 to infinity f2 of t e power minus st dt plus so on plus integration of 0 to infinity fn of t e power minus st dt. So each term what we see here is an individual Laplace transform of the functions f1 of t, f2 of t, so on fn of t. Therefore that can be written now as f1 of s plus f2 of s plus so on plus fn of s. So this is the linearity property in terms of Laplace transform. Now further, if you extend this linearity property, if there is any constant multiplied for each function, like for example a1 is multiplied with f1, a2 is multiplied by f2 plus so on plus an is multiplied by fn of t, then such constants get multiplied even with the Laplace transform of those functions, which is a1 f1 of s plus a2 f2 of s plus so on plus an fn of s. Okay, so the linear or linearity property of the Laplace transform is what we discuss now. Now next thing is, let us go with the scaling theorem. Okay, so what is scaling theorem? So this is one of the important property in Laplace transform which we have. Now assume k is a constant, then the Laplace transform of k into f of t, okay, k times the constant of k times the time function f of t. If you take the Laplace transform of that k times f of t, then that would be equal to k times the Laplace transform of f of t. Okay, so this is the Laplace transform of f of k into f of t would be equal to k times the Laplace transform of f of t, which is f of s. So this can be proved very easily. How is that? So Laplace transform of k into f of t can be written as integration of 0 to infinity k into f of t e power minus st dt, and that would be equal to k is constants where you can take it out. Therefore integration of 0 to infinity f of t e power minus st dt, and this we know it is f of s, therefore k into f of s. So this is the scaling theorem in Laplace transform that we come across. Okay, next, when we take the differentiation in time domain, okay, so let us see what is the Laplace transform of a differentiation, okay, or Laplace transform of any derivative. So if I say Laplace transform of differentiation of f of t, okay, d by dt of f of t is the differentiation of the time function f of t, then that would be equal to s into f of s, okay, s into f of s minus f of 0 minus. Here f of 0 minus indicates the value of f of t at time t equals 0 minus. It means it is the initial value of f of t. Initial value of f of t, it would be equal to, initial value of f of t would be equal to f of 0 minus. Means that is at time t equals 0 minus. Okay. So normally in most of the time we assume f of 0 minus to be equal to 0, and we get s into f of s is the differentiation of f of t's Laplace transform. Okay. The initial value of f of t at t equals 0 minus. So anyway, let me get into the explanation of the real differentiation, whatever we have, and the Laplace transform of that real differentiation is what I am going to explain, and this is the proof for that. So the real differentiation is denoted as df of t by dt. As we all know, it is denoted by f dash of t. Okay, so it is f dash of t. So what is the Laplace transform of that f dash of t is what we are going to look here. Okay, the Laplace transform of f dash of t would be equal to integration of 0 to infinity f dash of t e power minus st dt. So in the place of f of t, we are now putting f dash of t. So the Laplace transform of f dash of t would be equal to, now if you integrate this by parts, okay, so we are going to integrate this by parts. Therefore e power minus st into integration of u dt minus integration of differentiation of v multiplied by integration of f dash of t dt dt. So now e power minus st into, we all know integration of differentiation will give you a normal f of t only. So you integrate the differentiate of f of t. So this differentiation and integration will mutually get cancelled and you will be left out with f of t. So therefore e power minus st into f of t 0 to infinity is the limit, plus s will go out, minus into minus is plus, so plus s into integration of 0 to infinity f of t e power minus st dt, because again integration of f dash of t would be equal to f of t and e power minus st dt. Now if you look this properly, this integration of 0 to infinity f of t e power minus st dt is nothing but f of s, right? The Laplace transform of f of t is what we normally write the formula. So this becomes s into f of s. So that is what s into f of s. Whereas this term, this e power minus st into f of t with the limit 0 to infinity, e power minus st would be 0 as t tends to infinity. Therefore 0 into anything is 0, whereas e power minus 0 or e power 0 equals 1. Therefore what do we get here is e power 0 is 1. See, this term whatever I am saying you, it is when we apply the limit, it becomes e power minus infinity into f of infinity minus e power minus 0 into f of 0 minus. Okay, so this e power minus infinity is 0 and this minus e power minus 0 is 1. Therefore 1 into f of minus 0 minus. Therefore this becomes s into f of s, s into f of s minus 1 into f of 0 minus. So I hope you got the same equation whatever we had earlier. Means that is the proof. This would be the Laplace transform of any differentiation f dash of t. Okay, Laplace transform of the differentiation f of t, differentiation of f of t. Now the theorem can now be extended for nth order derivative. Now what happens if you have an nth order derivative? So the Laplace transform of nth derivative of f of t, okay, the Laplace transformation of nth derivative of f of t would be equal to s to the power of n into f of s. So this s will take power n into f of s minus s to the power of n minus 1 into f of 0 minus s to the power of n minus 2 into f dash of 0 and so on. So when you see from year to year, it is all initial conditions. Initial conditions. Normally in the problems, this initial condition we assume that initial condition to be 0. Normally we do write Laplace transform of the nth derivative of
f of t would be equal to s to the power of n f of s, assuming the initial condition is equal to 0. Assuming the initial conditions to be equal to 0. So for n equals 1, you get s into f of s, n equals 2, you get s square f of s, n equals 3, you get s cube f of s, and so on. For different values of n, you get the power of s to be equal to n. So s cube, s square. So it depends on the first derivative, second derivative, and so on. Now coming to the Laplace transform of the real integration. Okay, so what would be the Laplace transform of the integration of f of t dt? So if you integrate f of t, what would be the Laplace transform of that integration? That is given by f of s by s. F of s by s. So let us see that integration of 0 to infinity e power minus st into integration of 0 minus to t f of t dt. So this is now my f of t. So this is our the complete f of t what we take. Okay. So therefore integration of 0 to infinity e power minus st into f of t dt. In the place of f of t I have written integration of f of t dt. So the Laplace transform of integration of 0 to 0 minus to t f of t dt would be equal to e power minus. So again you should apply integration of u into v method. So therefore this is integration of u into multiplied by v minus integration of u into differentiation of f the integration. So if you try to differentiate the integrate, okay, if you try to differentiate the integration term, integration and differentiation will get cancelled and you are left out with f of t. So that is what I have written here. You are left out with f of t. So now if you apply the limit, we know that e power minus st equals 0 as t tends to infinity, and therefore integration of 0 to t f of t dt for t equals 0 minus will be equal to 0. So what happens? What happens to this is this complete terms becomes 0. This complete term becomes 0 plus this s comes out, so minus into minus plus, so 1 over s integration of 0 minus to infinity e power minus st into f of t dt, f of t into e power minus st dt. Now what is this integration of 0 to infinity f of t e power minus st, which is equal to f of s. Therefore Laplace transform of integration of 0 to t f of t dt would be equal to f of s divided by s. Okay, similar like differentiation, this property can also be true for the nth integral term if you extend the multiple integrals. So like integration of, so if you try to do nth different integration in terms of time t1, time t2, so on tn, you can say the formula would be f of s divided by s to the power of n. First derivative n equals 1, second integrative, sorry, not derivative, integration. First integration s equals n equals 1, second integral n equals 2, third integral n equals 3, and so on. Multiple integrals if you have, you can write the formula as the Laplace transform of multiple integrals would be given equal to f of s by s to the power of n. What is initial value theorem and what is final value theorem? Okay, and we'll see the statement and the proof of initial value theorem and final value theorem in Laplace transform what we use. So initial value theorem says the initial value of the function f of t, which is f of 0 minus, would be obtained by applying limit t tends to 0 f of t, which would be equal to limit s tends to infinity s into f of s in s domain. Okay, this is in s domain, whereas this is in time domain. Time domain. So now this is what the initial value theorem, the statement is all about. So it says that if the f of t and the derivative of f of t are the Laplace transformable, then the behavior of the f of t would be the neighborhood of t equals 0 minus, which corresponds to the behavior of s into f of s in the neighborhood of s equals infinity. Okay, so this is what the statement. Now let me have the proof for this. We know that the Laplace transformation of the derivative f dash of t, which is the derivative of f of t. is given by is is given by s into f of s minus f of 0 minus, right? We know that the Laplace transform of f dash of t equals s into f of s minus f of 0 minus. That means that is integration of 0 minus to infinity f dash of t e power minus st dt equals s into f of s minus f of 0 minus. Now we'll take limit on both sides. Okay, we'll take limit s tends to infinity on both sides. So what will we get? Limit s tends to infinity 0 minus infinity f dash of t e power minus st dt, which is equal to limit s tends to infinity s into f of s minus f of 0 minus. Okay, now the f dash of t with limit s tends to infinity remains as f dash of t, whereas limit s tends to infinity for e power minus st would be equal to e power minus infinity, which will be equal to 0. Therefore, 0 equals limit s tends to infinity s into f of s minus, even though you apply s tends to infinity for f of 0 minus, the f of 0 minus will remain as f of 0 minus 1. Therefore, if f of 0 minus comes to the left hand side, we do get f of 0 minus equals limit s tends to infinity s into f of s. So this is the proof of initial value theorem. This is the proof of initial value theorem. Now coming to final value theorem. Okay, we do have final value theorem in Laplace transformation. So let us see that final value theorem. So in final value theorem, it says f of infinity, okay, when t tends to infinity, the f of infinity would be equal to limit t tends to infinity f of t, which would be equal to limit s tends to 0 s into f of s in s domain. So this is in time domain. This is in time domain, whereas this is in frequency s domain. So let us prove that now again for this final value theorem. Let us see the proof for this. Now again we know that the Laplace transform of the derivative of t is equal to s into f of s minus f of 0 minus. So we know this already. So that is, what is this? It is nothing but, if you take an integral kernel with f dash of t, this is what we get. 0 minus to infinity f dash of t integral kernel is e power minus st dt, which is equal to s into f of s minus f of 0 minus. Now we'll take limit s tends to 0 on both sides. So we get limit s tends to 0 integration of 0 minus to infinity f dash of t e power minus st dt, which is equal to limit s tends to 0 s into f of s minus f of 0 minus. Okay, so further if we solve this problem, when limit s tends to 0 is applied for f dash of t, it remains to be f dash of t, where limit s tends to 0 e power minus st would be equal to e power minus 0, which will be equal to 1. Therefore, I can say it is 0 minus to infinity f dash of t dt, because e power minus st when applied the limit it is equal to 1, where f dash of t, as it is a function of t, s will not affect this particular term. Therefore, it remains to be 0 minus to infinity f dash of t dt, which is equal to limit s tends to 0 s into f of s minus, as f of 0 minus remains to be f of 0 minus because it is totally independent of s, therefore it remains to be f of 0 minus. Now this integration of f dash of t, we all know integration and differentiation cancels. So you will be getting f of t with the limit 0 minus to infinity, which is equal to limit s tends to 0 s into f of s minus f of 0 minus. Now what happens in the next step? This f of t is nothing but f of infinity. F of t is nothing but will become f of infinity minus f of 0 minus. So this can be written as limit t tends to infinity f of t, which is nothing but f of infinity, minus f of 0 minus is equal to limit s tends to 0 s into f of s minus f of 0 minus. So as you can see, minus f of 0 minus f of 0 minus in both the left hand side and right hand side, they both get cancelled. Therefore finally we are left out with limit t tends to infinity f of t equals limit s tends to 0 s into f of s. So this is the derivation or the proof for the final value theorem. So we have seen the statement and proof for both initial value theorem and final value theorem, which is used in Laplace transformation. Let us now find the Laplace transform of the following functions. So I have mentioned 7 functions here. So one by one we'll see what would be the Laplace transform of these functions. So first, in first problem they have given f of t equals e power at. Okay, so f of t equals e power at. So what would be the Laplace transform of e power at is what we need to find out. So we know the standard definition of the Laplace transform. So Laplace transform of f of t will be equal to integration of 0 to infinity f of t e power minus st dt. Okay, integration of 0 to infinity f of t e power minus st dt. Now here f of t we have e power at, so it is integration of 0 to infinity e power at into e power minus st dt. So as e to the power of a into e to the power of n can be written as e power a plus n, therefore this can be written as e power 0 to infinity e power t into, I can say, a minus s, or I can say minus t into s minus a dt. Okay, e power minus s minus a into t dt. So which is equal to, I'll just write it in a proper manner. So 0 to infinity e power minus of s minus a into t dt. We know that integration of e power minus at dt would be equal to e power minus at divided by minus a. So similarly here, e power minus of s minus a divided by minus of s minus a with the limit 0 to infinity. With the limit 0 to infinity. Therefore, this would be equal to, I'll say minus 1 by s minus a, I will take it outside. This would be equal to e power minus infinity minus e power minus 0. When you apply the t, sorry, this here it comes t, so it is e power minus c into t. So when you apply t to it tends to infinity, it becomes e power minus infinity. When you apply t equals 0, it becomes e power minus 0. So we all know that e power minus infinity is 0, whereas e power minus 0 is 1. Therefore, we get minus 1 by s minus a multiplied by minus 1. So minus into minus plus. Therefore, Laplace transform of e power at would be equal to 1 divided by s minus a. This is the answer. Okay, let me go with the second one, sin omega t. So let me go with finding out what is the Laplace transform of sin omega t. See, f of t is given as sin omega t. So we need to know what is the Laplace transform of sin omega t. Okay, sin omega t can be written as e power j omega t minus e power minus j omega t divided by 2j divided by 2j. How it is written? Let me tell you. I'll just expand it. We know that e power I theta equals cos theta plus I sin theta. So this is the trigonometric function which we know it. So therefore I can say e power j omega t can be written as cos omega t plus j into sin omega t minus e power minus theta I theta can be written as cos theta minus I sin theta. So therefore minus of cos omega t minus of minus plus j into sin omega t. And if I divide this by 2j, what will I get? Cos omega t will get cancelled. I will be getting 2j sin omega t by 2j. So 2j will cancel. So I will be getting sin omega t. So that is how sin omega t would be equal to e power j omega t minus e power minus j omega t by 2j. Anyway, this proof is not required. I have just written this for your explanation. You can rewind it and again listen to that how we wrote. Okay. Anyway, for me, this formula is what is necessary for you, for me. So therefore, Laplace transform of sin omega t equals Laplace transform of sin omega t equals 0 integration of 0 to minus e power j omega t minus e power minus j omega t divided by 2j into e power minus st is the integral kernel multiplied by dt. So this is what we get, right? This is the definition of Laplace transform which we have applied here. So I can say this would be equal to 1 over 2j is the constant term which I will take out, and then I will multiply this e power minus st to this. So it is the integration of 0 minus to infinity e power minus t into s minus j omega minus e power minus t into s plus j omega, and this is dt. Okay, that is dt. Now the next term is I know that the term which we have written already earlier, integral Laplace transform of e power at would be equal to 1 by s minus a, right? So that is what we have written. So therefore, if I apply Laplace transform for this, so what is that? This can be written as 1 over 2j into integration of 0 minus to infinity e power minus t of s minus j omega dt minus integration of 0 minus to infinity e power minus t into s plus j omega dt. So this is how it gets expanded. Anyway, we don't need this Laplace transform. We know that integration of minus at would be equal to dt would be equal to e power minus at by minus a. So that is the formula which we apply. So finally we will be getting 1 over 2j multiplied by 1 by s minus j omega. If you apply the limit, you will end up in getting this minus 1 over s plus j omega. Okay, this is what we get. Now take the LCM. So what do we get? S plus j omega minus of s minus j omega divided by 2j into a minus b into a plus b, a square minus b square. We know that j square is minus 1, j square in complex number which is equal to minus 1. Therefore, minus 1 into minus will become plus. Therefore, it becomes s square plus omega square. S square plus omega square. Therefore, finally, if you see, we are left out with s plus j omega minus s minus plus j omega divided by 2j into s square plus omega square. So s and minus s will get cancelled. So it is equal to 2j omega by 2j into s square plus omega square. Therefore 2j will get cancelled. Therefore, the Laplace transform of sin omega t is finally equal to omega by s square plus omega square. I hope it is clear to you what is the Laplace transform of sin omega t. Now the third one is Laplace transform of cos omega t. What is the Laplace transform of cos omega t? Now again, cos omega t can be now written as e power j omega t plus e power minus j omega t divided by 2. Earlier for sin omega t we wrote e power j omega t minus e power minus j omega t by 2j. But for cos omega t, e power j omega t, how it is that e power j omega t can be written as cos omega t plus j into sin omega t. E power minus j omega t can be written as again cos omega t minus j into sin omega t, divided by 2. If you do, minus plus will get cancelled, you will get 2 cos omega t by 2. So 2 gets cancelled, you will be left out with cos omega t. So that is how you can write cos omega t as this. Therefore, Laplace transform of cos omega t will be equal to integration of 0 minus to infinity e power j omega t plus e power minus j omega t by 2 whole thing multiplied by the integral kernel e power minus st dt. This is the definition that we use for Laplace transform, and we have replaced f of t with this equation of cos omega t. So this can be written as 1 over 2 is the constant. I'll take it outside. I can write 0 to infinity e power minus t into s minus j omega is what I'll get when I multiply this to dt plus integration of, I'll just separate the terms which are in plus, e power minus j omega t e power minus st, so I'll get e power minus t into s plus j omega. Now if you see properly, it is the term which we have got earlier, same thing. So we'll have what here, we will get 1 over 2. If you apply the limit and all, you will get 1 over s minus j omega. Now it will be added with 1 over s plus j omega, which would be equal to, if you take LCM, 1 over 2 into s plus j omega plus s minus j omega divided by s square plus omega square. Take LCM and see what this is what you get. Therefore here j omega and j omega gets cancelled, so we are left out with 1 over 2 into 2s by s square plus omega square. Therefore 2 gets cancelled. Therefore finally Laplace transform of cos omega t would be equal to s by s square plus omega square. Okay, next for the next fifth one is, sorry, it is fourth one which we are doing. We did e power at, we did sin omega t, we did cos omega t. Fourth one is t power n is what we have. So f of t. So find the Laplace transform of t power n. That is what we need to do. So anyway, Laplace transform of t to the power of n would be equal to integration of 0 minus to infinity t to the power of n e power minus st dt. So which can be written as t to the power of n u into v dt is what we are doing. So it is u into integration of v, which is e power minus st by minus s, with the limit 0 minus to infinity, minus integration with the limit 0 to infinity, integration of v, which is again my e power minus st by minus s, into differentiation of t to the power of n is n into t to the power of n minus 1 dt for this integration. So therefore this would be equal to, now when t tends to infinity, e power minus infinity is 0. When t tends to 0, 0 to the power of n is 0. therefore this complete term becomes 0. Okay, that complete term becomes 0, therefore I am left out with the second term, which is minus of minus plus n comes out and s comes out because they both will come constant, so n by s integration of 0 to infinity t to the power of n minus 1 into e power minus st dt, t to the power of n minus 1 into e power minus st dt. Now this t to the power of n minus 1 into e power minus st dt is can be written as n by s into Laplace transform of t to the power of n minus 1. Laplace transform of t to the power of n minus 1. So therefore, when I apply same Laplace transform of t to the power of n which we have got, I will be getting what? N by s into Laplace transform of t to the power of n minus 1 would be n minus 1 by s into Laplace transform of t to the power of n minus 2. Okay, n by s into n minus 1 by s into Laplace transform of t to the power of n minus 2. Now, if I apply Laplace transform for t to the power of n minus 2, I will be getting n by s into n minus 1 by s into n minus 2 by s into Laplace transform of t to the power of n minus 3. So therefore, finally we can say this can be written as n factorial divided by s to the power of n plus 1. Now, if you keep on continuing to find out Laplace transform of t to the power of n minus 3, t to the power of n minus 1 and so on, you get the factorial n factorial in the denominator. N into n minus 1 into n minus 2 into n minus 3 can be written as n factorial, whereas s keeps on increasing, so I can write s to the power of n plus 1. So this is the Laplace transform of t to the power of n, which is n factorial divided by s to the power of n plus 1. Okay, so if n is equal to 1, then this is the Laplace transform of t, which would be equal to 1 by s square. Similarly, if n is equal to 2, Laplace transform of t square, which would be equal to 2 divided by s cube, and so on. So keep upon having n value, so you will be getting the equations like this. So when n equals 1, t, Laplace transform of t is nothing but the ramp input, if you remember. Right? If n equals 0, Laplace transform of 1, which is the unit step input which we did earlier. Okay, so that is what? That is the reason why we are learning Laplace transform of t to the power of n, which can be used in analyzing ramp, unit step input and so on. Now the next fifth one is, let us find out the Laplace transform of t to the power of n f of t. So what would be the Laplace transform of the t to the power of n into f of t is, now the Laplace transform of f of t is written as Laplace transform of f of t is written as f of s, we know that, which is equal to integration of 0 minus to infinity f of t e power minus st dt. Similarly, Laplace transform of the derivative f dash of t can be written as f dash of s, which can be equal to integration of 0 minus to infinity minus t into f of t e power minus st dt, which can be written as Laplace transform of minus t f of t. Okay, Laplace transform of double derivative f double dash of t equals f double dash of s, which is equal to integration of 0 minus to infinity t square f of t e power minus st dt, which is equal to Laplace transform of t square f of t. So further, if I continue this further, Laplace transform of f to the power of n of t is equal to f to the power of n of s into minus 1 to the power of n, because you get minus plus in terms of t square, in terms of t we got minus, in terms of t square we got plus, in terms of t cube we get minus, and so on, which is equal to integration of 0 minus to infinity t to the power of n f of t e power minus st, and this is nothing but Laplace transform of t to the power of n f of t. Therefore, finally you can say the Laplace transform of t to the power of n f of t would be equal to fn of s into minus 1 to the power of n. So this is what the Laplace transform that we get. Okay, next step. Sixth one, sin h omega t. So here, like usual earlier what we wrote for sin omega t and cos omega t, sin h omega t can be written as e power omega t minus e power minus omega t divided by 2. Okay, sin h omega t can be written as e power omega t minus e power minus omega t by 2, because e power omega t is cos h omega t plus sin h omega t. Okay, e power omega t can be written as cos h omega t plus sin h omega t. Similarly, e power minus omega t can be written as cos h omega t minus sin h omega t. So if you subtract both, you get 2 sin h omega t. 2 gets cancelled if you divide by 2. Therefore, you are left out with sin h omega t. Therefore, Laplace transform of sin h omega t would be equal to Laplace transform of. So therefore, I would directly say integration of e power omega t minus e power minus omega t divided by 2 multiplied by, so 0 minus to infinity is the integral, e power minus st dt. So therefore, I can say 1 over 2, I'll take it outside, 0 to infinity, I'll just multiply e power minus st to e power omega t, so I'll get e power minus t into s minus omega into dt minus integration of 0 minus to infinity e power minus t into s plus omega dt. So if you substitute the the integration, if you do for this, then what we get, 1 by 2 into 1 over s minus omega minus 1 over s plus omega. So therefore this is equal to, if you take LCM, 1 over 2 into s plus omega minus s plus omega divided by a minus b into a plus b, we get a square minus b square. Therefore this will cancel s and s, so we are left out with 2 omega by 2 into s square minus omega square. 2 gets cancelled. Therefore Laplace transform of sin h omega t would be equal to omega by s square minus omega square. Then what about Laplace transform of cos h omega t? So I think that is 7th one, Laplace transform of cos h omega t. So this would be equal to, what is cos h omega t? It would be equal to e power omega t plus e power minus omega t divided by 2. Therefore, Laplace transform of cos h omega t would be equal to integration of 0 minus to infinity e power omega t plus e power minus omega t divided by 2 multiplied by e power minus st dt. So therefore that would be equal to 1 over 2, I'll take it outside, which is constant, 0 minus to infinity e power minus t into s minus omega dt plus integration of 0 minus to infinity e power minus t into s plus omega t dt. So now if I apply the integration and then limits, I'll get 1 over s minus omega plus 1 over s plus omega. Therefore, if I take the LCM, what will I get? I'll be getting 1 over 2 into s plus omega plus s minus omega divided by s square minus omega square. So minus omega plus omega will get cancelled. So we are left out with 2s by 2 into s square minus omega square. Therefore 2 gets cancelled. Therefore Laplace transform of cos h omega t would be equal to s divided by s square minus omega square. So this would be the Laplace transform of some of the standard functions which we come across in mathematics. Meanwhile, we also use this standard form, Laplace functions that we perform now. These things we are also applying even in the circuit analysis in electrical network theory or network analysis. What we do, okay.
In this video, we'll see how to find out the initial and final values for the function given below. So, this is the function which is given I of t equals 3 into e power minus t minus e power minus 2t. So, now what we need to find out here is we need to find out what is the initial and final value for the function. So, for that to find out the initial value, to find the initial value, we need to go with the initial value theorem. We need to get into initial value theorem, which is used in Laplace transform. So what is the initial value theorem used in Laplace transform? So I think the derivation we have done earlier. So it is nothing but the initial value would be equal to limit. So I of 0, normally when we go with t equals 0 is what the initial value that we normally go, and final value we try to take t tends to infinity. So I of 0, which is equal to limit t tends to 0 I of t. This is in time domain. The same initial value theorem in S domain is written as limit s tends to infinity s into I of s. So in time domain t tends to 0, limit t tends to 0 I of t. In S domain we normally write the initial value theorem as limit s tends to infinity s into I of s. Now therefore we need to now find out what is the Laplace equation of this I of t. So what would be I of s? So I of t Laplace is I of s, which would be equal to 3 multiplied by the Laplace of e power minus t minus Laplace of e power minus 2t. So here 3 is constant, that is the reason why we have taken 3 outside. So which is equal to the Laplace transform of e power minus t would be equal to, like we know that Laplace transform of e power minus at would be equal to 1 divided by s plus a. So here in the place of a we have 1, therefore I can easily write this as 3 divided by s plus 1 minus e power minus 2t. So we have 2 in the place of a, therefore I'll write 1 divided by s plus 2 minus 1 divided by s plus 2. Now what I'll do, I'll try to take LCM here. So I'll be getting 3 into s plus 2 minus s plus 1 divided by s plus 1 into s plus 2. So this can be equal to 3s plus 6 minus s minus 1 divided by s square plus s plus 2s plus 2. So therefore finally you will see that we get 2s plus 5 divided by s square plus s 3s, sorry, s plus 2s is 3s plus 2. So this is I of s. Therefore the initial value I of 0 is equal to limit s tends to infinity, s into 2s plus 5 divided by s square plus 3s plus 2. Okay, so now what we do is, instead of directly applying the limit, because if you directly apply the limit s tends to infinity here, infinity by infinity you get, where we don't get any solution, right? We don't have any solution for infinity by infinity. For that, what I'll do is, I'll take s common in the numerator and I will take s square common in the denominator. So what do I get? Limit s tends to infinity. So if I take s common here, s into s square it will become, so 2 plus 5 by s, which I will get when I take s common here, divided by, I will take s square common in the denominator, so I get 1 plus 3 divided by s, because when you multiply s square with 3 by s you get 3s, plus 2 divided by s square. Now you see s square gets cancelled. So now it is easy to apply limit for this now. Limit s tends to infinity 2 plus 5 by s divided by 1 plus 3 by s plus 2 by s square. So when I apply limit now, this becomes 2 plus 5 by infinity divided by 1 plus 3 by infinity plus 2 by infinity. Anyway, infinity square is infinity. So anything divided by infinity would be equal to 0. So therefore, this term becomes 0, this becomes 0, this becomes 0. Finally, I will be getting 2 by 1. Therefore, the initial value of I of t would be equal to 2. So this is the initial value that we get. Now when I go with the final value, which is nothing but I of infinity, which is given by, in time domain we say it is limit t tends to infinity I of t, whereas in s domain we'll say limit s tends to 0 s into I of s. So we say limit s tends to 0 s into I of s. So if I go with the same like before what I did, s into 2s plus 5 divided by s square plus 3s plus 2 is what I had. So finally we ended up in getting s tends to 0. If I take s common, so what will I get? 2 plus 5 by s divided by 1 plus 3 by s plus 2 by s square. Now you can't get a solution for this thing, because anything divided by 0, there is no solution for this. Okay, divide by 0, error will come. So you can't find the solution by applying the limit 0 here. Okay, so therefore there is no any other solution for this. The final value would be equal to 0. So when I apply s tends to 0 here, so 0 is multiplied with this entire term. So 0 into anything is 0. Okay, therefore I of infinity would be equal to 0. This will not be possible here, because when you apply s tends to 0 limit here, we don't have a solution for this. Is a what do you say, exceptional case that we have in computers or anywhere you take. Dividing by 0 is an exceptional case. Exceptional means there is no solution for that particular case. That is what exceptional case is all about. Okay, so this is the initial value and final value for the given I of t. Let us go to the next problem, where the second one, where f of t equals, means this is the function which is given, where we need to find out initial and final value for this, 1 plus e power minus t into sin t plus cos t. So let us find out what is the initial value and final value for this particular function. So first thing is always to find out the Laplace equation of this particular given function. So the Laplace of 1 is 1 by s, we all know that, plus the Laplace of e power minus t into sin t, which is similar to Laplace of e power minus at into sin bt. So that we know that what is the formula, which is 1 divided by s plus a the whole square plus b square is what we normally have. So here we get, as we have e power minus t into sin t, therefore I get 1 by s plus 1 the whole square plus 1 square is 1, plus here e power minus t into cos t would be equal to s plus 1 divided by s plus a divided by s plus a the whole square plus b square. So I will be getting s plus 1 divided by s plus 1 the whole square plus 1 again. So now if I take the LCM and further solve this, I'll get 1 by s plus 1 plus s plus 1 is s plus 2 divided by s. So both denominator is same, therefore numerator gets added up, so I get s plus 2. If I elaborate this, I get s square plus s plus s square plus s square plus 1 plus 2s plus 1. So finally I'll get 1 by s plus 2 divided by s square plus 2s plus 2. So this is the Laplace of the given function which is being given here. So therefore now when I want to find out what is I of 0, it's not I of 0, it is f of 0, because f is given here. So last problem I have mentioned I, now it is f of 0 equals limit, we know in s domain it is s tends to infinity s into f of s. So this is the initial value theorem function, therefore this would be equal to limit s tends to infinity s into 1 by s plus s plus 2 divided by s square plus 2s plus 2. So I'll just multiply, I'll take s common here, first I will multiply this one. So what do I get here? Limit s tends to infinity, s and s cancel, so I'll get 1 plus limit s tends to infinity s into s plus 2 divided by s square plus 2s plus 2. So therefore limit s tends to infinity and 1 is constant, so you will be getting 1 only, because there is no s term to apply limit here, so you will be getting 1 plus I'll take s common here and s square like how we did in the previous problem. So therefore that is what we do. When I take s common here, this becomes s square into 1 plus 2 by s, and in the denominator I'll take s square common again. So what will I get? 1 plus 2 by s plus 2 by s square. Okay, now s square cancels. Now if you apply limit, this becomes 0, this becomes 0, this becomes 0 when you apply limit s tends to infinity. Therefore it is equal to 1 plus 1 by 1, which is 1. Therefore f of 0 is equal to 2. So we got the initial value f of 0 is equal to 2. Now let us see what is the final value f of infinity. So f of infinity would be equal to limit t tends to time domain we need not to take, we are taking s domain, s tends to 0 s into f of s, so which is equal to limit s tends to 0 s into 1 by s plus s plus 2 divided by s. So let me see, yeah, s plus 2 divided by s square plus 2s plus 2. Okay, so now which is equal to, I'll just multiply s, so I'll be getting limit s tends to 0, so s into 1 by s is 1 plus limit s tends to 0 s into s plus 2 divided by s square plus 2s plus 2. Anyway, when I apply limit s tends to 0 for 1, it remains as 1 plus, if I apply limit here, 0 multiplied by anything is 0, therefore it is 0. Therefore, f of infinity would be equal to 1. So, this is the final value of the given function. So, now I hope with these two problems you people have understood how to find out the initial value and final value for any given function by using the Laplace transform theorems. Okay. So, what we do for finding out initial value theorem, we know that the theorem is given by I of 0 equals limit s tends to infinity s into I of s. Therefore, you need to take the Laplace of the given function, multiply by s and apply limit s tends to infinity, and you will get the initial value. Final value, take the same Laplace equation that you get and multiply it by s, and then apply the limit s tends to 0, where you get the final value. Okay, so this is all about initial value and final value for any given function that we are going to find out. Now, in this video, we will see how to find out the inverse Laplace transform of any given S-domain function. Now, why exactly the inverse Laplace transform is required, and for what purpose the Laplace transform is also applied, I will just tell you by taking a small circuit example here. Now, think we have a series RLC circuit in this way, where all three components are connected in series, where the total voltage E is applied, R, C and L. So, this is the RLC circuit whatever we have. Now, think current I is what the current passing through this. So, if I write the KVL equation for this, then the total voltage E would be equal to I into R is the voltage across resistor, added with 1 over C integration of I dt is the voltage across the capacitor, added with L into di by dt is the voltage across the inductor. So, this term whatever I have written, this is Vc, this is VL and this is VR. So, the total voltage would be the summation of the voltage across each components. Okay. Now, the major problem in this particular equation and finding the solution of this equation is, we do have integration definition, means we have an integration part, we also have differentiation part. Now, finding out the solution for this integro differential equation, we call it as integro differential equation. To find the solution for this integro differential equation is quite impossible, means it becomes very complicated, because you have an integration and differentiation both the term in one single equation. So, therefore, to overcome this complexity that we have in time domain equation, we try to convert this equation, or we will try to transform this equation into a frequency domain by applying Laplace transform. So, we apply Laplace transform to get frequency domain equation for the given time domain, frequency domain equation. Now, what is the benefit of applying Laplace transform and getting a frequency domain equation is, we will not have integration or differentiation term in the Laplace equivalent equation. See, I will just write E of s equals, R is constant, so R into I of s plus, so if you take the Laplace transform of the integration part, you will get I of s by C of s. So, 1 over C into I of s by s. I of s by s is the Laplace transform of the integration part, provided the initial conditions are considered to be 0. Okay, this gets added up with the initial condition, but I think we have seen in the theorem part of Laplace transform discussion. So, we assume that initial condition to be equal to 0. Therefore, plus L into S into I of s. So, when you have a differentiation, S gets multiplied. When you have integration, S gets divided. Okay. Now, you see, if I take I of s common in all these three terms, I'll get R plus 1 over Cs plus Ls. Now if you see this equation, E of S, we don't have any differentiation or integration. Such equations, if R, C and L is known, such equations can be easily be converted into time domain by applying inverse Laplace transform, ILT, inverse Laplace transform. So the reason of applying Laplace transform is to make the calculation simple. But the end product of any solution that you are going to find out for any circuit, the end product or the end result should always be in time domain. So to get back the time domain equation, we normally use inverse Laplace transform. But to try to apply inverse Laplace transform, we should see through that the frequency domain equation what we get by applying the Laplace transform should be in a standard form. Means standard form means we need to get the equation in such a form where I can apply inverse Laplace transform. Okay, you can't just apply inverse Laplace transform for the obtained equation what you get after applying the Laplace transform. You need to convert by using partial fraction and all, you need to convert that into a standard S domain equation where you can apply inverse Laplace transform and then get back the time domain equation. Once you get back the time domain equation after applying inverse, you will be getting the result either in sine term or cos term or e power term. Okay, you will get an equation in terms of sine, cos or e power. So such finding out the solution for a time domain equation where you have integration and differentiation, or finding out the solution for the equation where you have sine t, cos t or e power t term, which is easy. I think this would be easy, because finding solution for integration without the limits, it's quite impossible. Similarly, finding out the solution for differentiation when the variable is unknown, again it is quite impossible. But finding out the solution where when you have an equation in terms of sine t, cos t, e power t, it's very simple. What you do is you try to take the value of t to be equal to 0, 1, 2 and so on. You vary, and finally you see sine 0, sine 1, sine 2 and all you can find out using your calculator. Similarly, cos 0, cos 1, cos 2 and all you can find it out using calculator. Similarly, e power 0, e power 1, e power 2, all those values you can find out easily by using calculator. But finding out the solution for integration and differentiation is very, very difficult. So therefore, inverse Laplace transform when you apply, you will not get back the same term, domain equation where you applied the Laplace. You will be getting a time domain equation which will be in terms of sine, cos and e power t. Okay. So such inverse Laplace transformed equation, the time domain equation what you get, is very easy to solve than the equation what you have an integration and differentiation. So this would be the benefit of applying Laplace and inverse Laplace. Means you are converting a complicated form of time domain equation to a simplest form of time domain equation where you can easily find out the solution. So now I hope you people have got the reason why Laplace and inverse Laplace are being applied for any circuits that we take. Okay, now we will try to take some small examples of the function where I can apply inverse Laplace transform. Means I am just teaching you how to apply inverse Laplace transform. Think that you have got a function f of s to be equal to, I am directly taking the S domain equation to teach you how to obtain the inverse. So think you have got f of s to be equal to this equation, this is s cube. So s square minus 3s plus 4 divided by s cube. Now how to apply inverse? Applying inverse for this direct equation is highly impossible. Means you can't apply, you need to convert this into a standard format. So what I'll do, I'll take this s cube and divide for each term. So s square by s cube minus 3s by s cube plus 4 by s cube. So which is equal to 1 over s minus 3 by s square plus 4 by s cube. So now when I apply inverse Laplace transform for this, so f of t equals 1 into inverse Laplace transform of 1 over s, minus 3 is the constant, inverse Laplace transform of 1 over s square, plus 4 into inverse Laplace transform of 1 over s cube. So this is what the standard format is. Instead of applying for this, we apply for this standard format. Inverse Laplace transform of 1 over s is 1 minus inverse Laplace transform of 1 over s square is t. So minus 3 into t plus 4 into inverse Laplace transform of s cube. Okay, inverse Laplace transform of s cube. So I don't have 1 over s cube, I do have inverse Laplace transform of 2 divided by s cube, which is nothing but t square. Inverse Laplace transform of 2 by s cube is nothing but t square. So what I do, I'll take this 4 as 2 here and I'll give 2 another 2 here. So 2 into 2 is nothing but 4. Therefore, I can easily say this is 2 times t square. So this is the inverse Laplace transform time domain equation. Okay. So this is how you apply inverse Laplace transform. Now let us take another function. F of s is equal to 2s square minus 6s plus 5 divided by s cube minus 6s square plus 11s minus 6. So this is the equation that we have, where applying inverse direct for this equation is quite impossible. So what we need to do is we need to convert this into a standard equation. So we need to convert this into a standard equation. So therefore we'll see whether I can find out the factor for this particular s cube minus 6x square plus 11s minus 6. Okay. So let us see whether we can find out the factor for this particular equation. Okay. Okay, now what we do is we take the denominator term and we see whether we can try to convert into some simplest format. So what I'll do, I'll take this one where I'll say s cube. I'll separate this 6s square as minus 5s square minus s square, and again I'll separate this 11s as plus 6s plus 5s minus 6. So 2s square minus 6s plus 5 divided by s cube minus s square minus 5s square plus 5s plus 6s minus 6. I am just reordering in a different way where I can take something common here. So that is what we can see here, 2s square minus 6s plus 5 divided by, if I take s square common here, I will be getting s minus 1. I will take minus 5s common here in these two, I will get s minus 1. I will take plus 6 common, I will get s minus 1. See, in this all these three terms, you see s minus 1 is common, so I can take that common term outside. So what will I get? So I will take s minus 1 common, I will get s square minus 5s plus 6 is what I get. Now this is a quadratic equation what I have. So s square minus 5s plus 6 is what the quadratic equation I have. So I should just see what is the factors for this. So I can say minus 3 and minus 2. So 3 2s are 6. We get 3 plus 2 is 5. Means minus 3 minus 2 is 5. Therefore I can say s square minus 3s minus 2s plus 6. So I can say s square s into s minus 3 minus 2 into s minus 3. So I can say it is s minus 2 into s minus 3. So these two terms I will apply here. So I will get 2s square minus 6s plus 5 divided by s minus 1 into s minus 2 into s minus 3. Okay, so this is how we get the factors. Okay, so you can also go with the synthetic division method if you want. Means here it is quite difficult to take this separations and then finding out the factors. So what you do is you go with s cube minus 6s square plus 11s minus 6 is what we have. Now take the coefficient of this is 1, minus 6, 11 and minus 6 is the coefficient. Okay. Now we know that s minus, so we will have s minus 1, s minus 2, s minus 3 and so on. So first we'll take s minus 1, therefore when I say s minus 1 equals 0, s is equal to 1. So I'll take 1 here and this 1 I'll keep as it is. Okay. So now 1 into 1 is 1. So minus 6 plus 1 is minus 5. Okay. Then 1 into minus 5 is minus 5. 11 minus 5 is 6. Whereas 1 into 6 is plus 6. Minus 6 plus 6 is 0. So therefore at the end you should see through that you will reach 0. Okay. So this is called as synthetic division. Synthetic division to find out the factors. Okay. So I took 1 s minus 1 and I took 1 and I saw that I obtained 0. Therefore s minus 1 is one of the factor for this particular cube equation. Now what I'll write, this is 1 into s square minus 5 into s plus 6 is what I get. Now as this is a quadratic equation, you can easily find out the solution for this. We have already done it here where I will get s minus 2 and s minus 3. So in this way, in this synthetic division way also, you can find out the solution for a given problem where you can find out the factors. So synthetic division method is also possible. Means this is quite easy comparatively. Here you know, separating these two parts and separating these two and finding out the factors, it's better to use a synthetic division method where you get a very precise answer. So now this is your f of s and this is not in the standard format again. Now the next step what we do is we apply the partial fraction method to get the standard form equation. So I'll say partial fraction method, this term would be equal to a divided by s minus 1 plus b divided by s minus 2 plus c divided by s minus 3. Therefore I can say, after taking LCM and all, I'll say a into s minus 2 into s minus 3 plus b into s minus 1 into s minus 3 plus c into s minus 1 into s minus 2 equals 2s square minus 6s plus 5. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll just multiply, or you can also put s equals, so substitute s to cancel some terms and keep some terms. So if I put s equals 2 here, a will cancel, c will cancel, b will remain as it. So b into 2 minus 1 is 1 into 2 minus 3 is minus 1 equals 2 into 4 8 minus 6 into 2 is 12 plus 5. So this is b minus b equals 8 plus 5 is what do you say, 8 minus 12 is minus 4, 5 minus 4 is 1. So I'll be ending up in getting b equals minus 1. Okay. So then put s is equal to 3. So if I put s equals 3, a will cancel because 3 minus 3 is 0, b will cancel because 3 minus 3 is 0, c will not cancel. So c into 3 minus 1 is 2, into 3 minus 2 is 1 equals 3 square 9 into 2 is 18 minus 6 into 3 is 18 plus 5. So 18 and 18 gets cancelled. So C equals 5 divided by 2. I'll get C equals 2.5. So to find out A, finally I'll substitute S equals 1. Put S equals 1. So B and C will be cancelled. C, S minus 1, 1 minus 1, 0. Here also S minus 1, 1 minus 1, 0. Therefore, I will get A into 1 minus 2 is minus 1. A into minus 1 into 1 minus 3 is minus 2 equals 2 into 1 square is 2 minus 6 plus 5. 2 minus 6 plus 5. So, A into 2 minus 1 into minus 2 is 2 equals 2 minus 6 is minus 4, 5 minus 4 is 1. So, A is equal to 1 over 2 which is 0.5. A is equal to 1 over 2 which is equal to 0.5. So, now by substituting these three values of S, we got A, B, C. Now, we will go back and substitute, take this equation f of s. Therefore, finally f of s is equal to a divided by s minus 1, so 0.5 divided by s minus 1 plus b divided by s minus 2, b is minus 1, so minus 1 by s minus 2 plus c divided by s minus 3, so c is 2.5 divided by s minus 3. Therefore, finally, we can now apply the inverse Laplace transform for this, where f of t would be equal to 0.5 into e power t, because e power minus at Laplace transform is 1 by s plus 1, s plus a. Laplace transform of e power plus at is 1 by s minus a. So, here in the place of a we have 1 over s minus 1 is e power t minus 1 into e power 2t, s minus 2, in the place of a we have 2, plus 2.5 into e power 3t. So, therefore, this is the final time domain equation after applying the Laplace, inverse Laplace transform. Now, you see all the functions are in terms of e power. I told you this only. This is how you get the inverse equation always when you apply inverse Laplace transform. You see that you either get in sine, cos, tan or e power and so on. So, this is all about inverse Laplace transform application. I hope now with these two functions or the problems what we took, you realized how to apply inverse Laplace transform and the reason why we apply the inverse Laplace transform.